Have you started to question whether the path you're going down is actually going to get you where you want to go? I have for the last year, and I've realized that I'm not the only one. Today, we're going to learn exactly why your feelings and my feelings are common in the world right now. We're going to learn exactly why we feel behind, why we're looking for a new direction, and I'm going to give you the blueprint I'm taking myself to find that new direction to get to where we want to go in our life. The framework that can be applied to any circumstance, any life experience, any trajectory. The world is changing. We have AI, we have an old generation that's ending, people are retiring, selling their businesses, and we have the newcomers. They're changing the game. I learned in my socialization that school was important. You had to follow the rules. You had to learn and listen and be obedient to authorities, that you needed to go to college, get good grades, earn a degree, and then work that job. But I have more ambition. I don't want to work for someone. I believe that I can do more than just meeting one person in therapy. I have big goals. And so I've been in college the last 3 years, and I feel like I've been sold short. And maybe you do too. I've been wrestling with this. And so if you feel an inkling that maybe you're 10 years down the road, you're working your corporate job, or you're a freshman in school, or you've dropped out and you're looking for direction, let me save you a year's worth of heartache and listen to this.
We need to talk. You've probably seen some headlines that my company, Steven.com, was valued at $425 million, and the articles and headlines don't really say much. And so I'm going to explain it to you in the most simple way I possibly can. And I'm going to just draw a very, very simple image for you. We have Steven.com. It's about the individual creator and this switch from institutions that have ruled the world to individual creators like you and me in our bedrooms. It's not a production company, it's just me distributing directly to my audience. That is the central idea of our thesis. And so this company should represent, it's worth saying, I am the first creator in Steven.com, but I'm not the only. There'll be hundreds of creators, much like Disney built a franchise off original IP when he drew that picture of Mickey the Mouse, and then it became so much more. So all of these companies you see here are owned by Disney. They are a platform. And in the same way, I see Steven.com as a platform. And this is how the platform looks. There's really 3 components to it. The first pillar of this platform in Steven.com is creator media, where we take creators, we scale their media, we commercialize their media, we expand their reach and fan engagement, and we build a world around them, and we commercialize that world. Much like Disney did with Mickey the Mouse, where he created this mouse and then he built this entire IP ecosystem around this mouse, merchandise, products, experiences, movies, and then he commercialized it. We do the same for the modern creator. The next part is creator ventures. They're able to launch and scale brands. And the last part of this is creator community. Creators are going to be much of the center point of IRL experiences. My friend Mr. Beast called me when we did our announcement a couple of days ago, and he explained to me that he is building Beastland.
Next month, I don't know if you're in the Middle East or anything, but we're opening a theme park.
I'm so sure. Because it's perfectly aligned with our thesis. Creators will be the new Disneyland. They'll be the new Glastonbury's. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is Steven.com. That is the vision, it's what I'm passionate about, and it's one that I am committing the rest of my life to.
Crazy! Is that not insane? When I listened to that for the first time, my mind was going haywire. What he's talking about alludes to everything that we're facing as the younger generation. The generation that we lived in grew up with the plan. The dream was living in an urban neighborhood while the mom cooked food, the dad worked his 9 to 5, and you had kids playing in the street. I went on a walk with my wife yesterday, and we walked through an upper middle class neighborhood, but it was all houses built in the 80s and 90s. It was crazy to see that socialization, that was the dream. And so all this to say that the world is shifting. It always has, it always will. But what we've been socialized with is a roadmap to play a different game that's going to be played and that's currently being played right now. And so if you're following that roadmap, you're going to be let down. That's the reality I've been facing the last year, and that's the reality you have to face at some point in your life. Face the reality of what you're doing and where that's heading. Steven talks about it in his video, that media is being democratized. There are thousands of creators. They pick up their phone, turn on their camera, and bam, you have a creator. You can post it on any platform. That's literally what I'm doing right now. And so that is just one example of how the game is shifting. Rather than CNN or Fox News being your only source of media for the news, you have people posting real time on X what is going on before the platforms even put a show together. People like Steven Bartlett or Mr. Beast are much more than creators. They're the next generation. So what they're building, it isn't just companies, but it's full ecosystems, completely changing the industries that they're a part of. And what's interesting is that they're not following the rules. They're not following the go to college, go get a job, climb the career ladder. They're writing new rules completely. And so the reason that you and I feel behind, it's because we inherited a script to go to school, listen to the teacher, but that script is based on an ecosystem built in the 70s. And that ecosystem, it's outdated. And so the shift that we have to have in our mind is that we're not behind necessarily, we're looking at the wrong map. For example, my path. I've always known since middle school I wanted to do something with psychology. I loved the mind. I loved self-improvement. Since then, it's evolved. In high school and for a few years, I thought clinical psychology was the route. I wanted to be the best of my field, and so I'd get a PhD. Here I am a few years later. I finished college. I'm applying to clinical psychology programs, but I realize that following my current map will only get me so far, because becoming a clinical psychologist, that will either put me in a room for therapy or in front of students as a professor. And so I'm not saying that we need to leave the whole old path behind us, but we need to be aware of its limitations. And so, while I'm listening to my clinical psychology professors, if they give me advice about my career, about work, I'm not going to listen to them because I don't want to become like them. That's no shade on them and their careers, but I just don't want that to be me personally. And so, when it comes to career, I have to listen to people like Steven Bartlett, people like Mr. Beast, because they're doing innovative things that I want to be a part of. And so when it comes to psychology, yes, in order to become trained and become skilled and become an expert, I need to learn from the best that are out there. But I also have to be aware of their limitations and what they can offer me. You have to face that reality for yourself, that the map you follow determines the future you reach. And so an innovative future means that there is no map. That's the interesting part. Because Mr. Beast, Steven Bartlett, they're creating the path as they go. They are literal trailblazers. And so you have to think about, what do you want? What are your dreams? What are your goals? And then you have to work backwards from that. I have to think clearly and logically about what I'm doing and how to get there. Simply going to college, getting a PhD, and then starting some company wouldn't work. And so the last year I've been learning and I've been exploring about possible ways that I could reach my goals. And so the first big lesson here is that we have to choose the right advisors. If your goal is to become a nurse, go to nursing school, you'll work at a hospital. But if your goal is to do something innovative with nursing, you have to find a different path. And that influences who you listen to, who you learn from. In this way, direction beats effort every time. I love this quote from Alvin Toffler. He says, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." History does this. It's about change. It's about innovation. But at this time, we're in an interesting point. Because of AI, because of all the technological advances, the foundation of layer of people, of companies and organizations, ecosystems, they're crumbling. Things are getting shaken up. And so if you're someone who likes to ruffle the feathers, you've been born at a great time. It's not that people are illiterate. It's not that the vast majority of the population is illiterate at this time. It's that we're facing a new problem. But just as important as it was to become illiterate in the time when that was becoming available, it is as important for us to be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn, because that is the new version of literacy in our day. So I've been along this path for about a year now, and these are the skills I'm learning that this new game requires. First, you have to unlearn, let go of that old script. Whatever you've been born told to do, you have to question that and be able to let go of anything that is unhelpful or not true. Next, you have to be able to relearn. Learn from people in the front lines of the battlefield who are changing the game. People like Stephen Bartlett or Mr. Beast. The next step is you have to be able to adapt. Last year, I was going to school full time. I wasn't doing anything else. This year, I've started doing content. That's because I'm adapting. It's hard. It requires you to have to learn. But the biggest lesson, that's why this quote is so helpful, is that you have to be able to learn. That is the most important skill, and not in some knowledge and information retention, not what school taught you. School taught you to be able to memorize something. Learning is about wisdom. It's about being able to change your behavior. And it's not moving from one place of security to the next place of security. It's about being able to live in the uncomfortable, being able to thrive in the insecurity, because that is the world 30 years from now will be completely different than it is now. And so if I establish myself in a place of security based on the rules of this game, of what's being played right now in the world, I'll fall behind in the game 30 years from now. And so that's a complete mental shift of what security and confidence means. You have to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. The next step is self-authorship. You have to design the path that you want. Based on where you want to go, you have to follow paths, parts of paths, and create your own to formulate one version unique to you. And the last message, what I've been learning, what has held me back the last year and stunted my progress, and I'm sharing with you so that you don't have to go through the pain that I've overcome, is this, the domino principle. Most people want clarity before they move. They want to know the direction they're headed before they actually make a step. And I'm telling you right now that that is just not possible. If you want to be ahead of the curve, you have to move before you see the curve. It's about taking a step into the darkness before you have any light to see where you're actually going. So according to my knowledge, I'm doing the best I can today, knowing and learning today so that tomorrow I'll be able to play a different game. But if I spent all my time just trying to learn about tomorrow, I wouldn't have done anything today, and that wouldn't have gotten me anywhere different. And so I can't wait to understand how the game works to be able to play according to the rules. I have to be a domino within the game. I have to be part of it. Moving to the best of my knowledge, changing, adapting, relearning, unlearning, becoming the future because you're a part of it. Realizing that it changes as you do. And so to those who are starting to question the path they've been on, wondering if it will get them to exactly where you want to go, I empathize with you. I'm right there with you. And this is my blueprint of success for you, of what you can start doing today that will help you understand what problems you're facing and help you actually start making progress. I'm doing it with you, documenting my path, what I'm learning every day, the tools I'm using to get the result that I want. So if you're hungry for more, if you're ambitious, if you're questioning the system you've been told to live in, subscribe. Let's do this together.